to another unboxing video from theplayers8.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a new game just came out in 2018, and it's called Mini World War II, and it's from a company, and I'm gonna butcher it. It's called Formosa Force Games, and as you can tell, it's a game made by a Chinese company. And this is a translation and a dual language edition. So we have in here both Chinese and English rule sets, and everything's bilingual, so you can use it for anyone. Now, this is a small, card-driven, somewhat abstracted World War II, kind of a what-if game. This is World War II setting, and you get to play around with it. So it's got some very interesting parts to it. It's just a small box, nice 2-inch box, but it's very nice. Got good art, very interesting artwork on it, right? Mushroom cloud with the various different nations there. And on the back you got some bits and pieces about who the game's for, and the contents of the game. And we'll just crack it open and just take a look here. So, there's actually quite a lot in this small game. So, what we'll start with is there is a deck of cards. And like I said, this is a card-driven game, and we'll get there. We'll take a look at those here in a bit. There's a lot of wooden pieces. This game is actually really nicely produced. You've got some played kind of tiles. So, this game has a small tech tree with the various different icons and what they mean and how they are used on the board. So each nation has one of these, so you can kind of see here in the background you have this German eagle with an iron cross, and then you have kind of a crown for the royals for the UK. You'll have a USSR communist star with the hammer and sickle, and then for the Japanese player you've got like a flower. So there's 4 of those, and this can play up to 4 people, I believe, but you can do it 2-player. On the back of each of these, you have some VPs. There's some unit composition across the top. So the Germans here have 10 tanks and 2 naval units, whereas the British have 4 tanks, 4 naval units, and there's 2 American tanks and 2 American naval units. And you get the same thing here with the Chinese, with 9 tanks and a naval unit. And the Japanese have 7 tanks, but 5 naval units. So there's different force composition, which is nice in a game this small, because the game plays about 90 minutes, apparently. But then you got different ops values and what you can do with them, some stacking limits, and VPs here as well. So nice little play cards. I think those are going to be a handy reference, but you can see it was a lot of symbology, right? And I think as a dual language game, that's important. They tried to make it so that it's not so language dependent as possible. There is 3 different bags of units and pieces. So this bag is just, if you look at this, is just kind of markers, wooden markers of different types. Looks like one for each nation, and then some generic wooden tokens there as well. This one, and these are some of the coolest things I've seen. I think this is maybe how they marketed it. So these are little wooden meeples, but they're tanks. So you have these little white ones that I presume the Japanese tanks. You have these red Russian tanks, the black German ones, and the UK brown ones, and American green ones in there. Just what cool little meeples to have kind of on the board. I think that those are really neat. And they're great production value as well. And these are the fleets, also pretty cool for being little wooden meeples. So you got these fleets. They're all the same, but just different colors. But I think that's just going to be nice on the board. Just really cool looking. I think this is an add-on from what I can tell, but I'm not sure. Because there's a separate little page of rules for instructions to these, and these are kind of peace dividend cards. There's one for kind of each of the nations here, but I'm not entirely sure if that's an added extra or if that's something that should be in the game because they're kind of packaged separately with our little rules pamphlet there. This is an expansion map, So this was not part of the base game. Again, you can see Chinese on here, English on here. And there's a little bit of explanation of the rules here and kind of what this is for, but a little expansion map. You can see though, Norway, Finland, the Aleutian Islands and Iceland and the Arctic around here is this kind of like a top-down view of the globe, and everything's abstracted with kind of just boxes for different countries. And I think this is a land-based connection, and these blue ones are sea-based connections. I believe that's how that works in this one. So there's 2 rule books. Here's the Chinese one. Not going to worry about that because I don't speak Chinese or read it, I suppose. And then we have game rules. So this is the English version, and this is a translation. So we'll see how this plays out. But I've looked online, and there's some decent help in forums and places like that on Board Game Geek if things get a bit vague or convoluted through translation. I've no idea, but I'm hoping this is fairly quick. You know, it's 10 plus, so I think younger kids could play this. It's not super complex. The rulebook's what, 7-10 pages, but it's pictures galore, right? And explanations of things. 2 to 4 players, 90 minutes, so exciting. Should be a quick one to learn. And let's take a look at the board here, because that's the last thing in here. And that fit pretty snugly in there, which is nice. This is a very compact game. You don't get a lot of wasted space in here. So the board, it's just a 4-fold board. And this is kind of the map of the world, so to speak, which we're going to have this. Let's try it this way. Okay. So there's a couple of tracks down here, and this is allies joining the war. So you have Russia, no, is this China can gain allies, I believe. I think China comes to support Russia. I think that's what that is. And then the Americans can join the British as well. But there's a little track to see when they're going to join. So you're trying to invest in that. Little turn track up here as well. But the rest of the board here, it's a geographic abstract. So you have Germany, and they have these grey land connections to Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, and Benelux. So we know that that's true. Italy and Tunisia joined by a little blue one, which is a sea connection. So it's a really simple way of making this map, but I think it's going to provide some pretty interesting, just some unique, cool, I don't know, movements. It's a point-to-point game, but it almost seems like an abstract one. And so if you've got your little, and this is just a card, you got a little Arctic expansion kind of thing. You're just going to have that on the side and do this one as well. I'm not sure if there's connections. I'm not sure. Hopefully there's rules somewhere that explain how this connects to this, or if it's a separate little mini game on the side. Not sure about that one entirely, but this looks like a very simple game, right? You've got a VP track around the edge, little turn track like you said, but it's moving your little armies around, so you're going to end up with guys on the board. But whilst it looks like an abstract, really, this is just a really condensed way of having a global map. So it's actually pretty nice that they were able to get that done in a reasonable way. You've got all the major nations and theaters and places where combat was done and decided in the war, at least the major places. So this is an exciting little game. I'm actually going to crack this open here so we can take a look at the cards, because this is a CDG in that sense of it. So on the back of the cards you get this really cool artwork, right? So I don't know if you can kind of see this. You have this airplane. Let's get this in focus. And focus, please. I don't know if that's going to be any good, but so the airplane, and this is like fire and smoke, like it's being shot down, but it's got those kind of flags of the nations. It's just a very interesting and evocative piece of art there, so I think that's pretty neat. And each of these cards, let's see, just looking at them, the cards have allegiances. So you have this kind of Soviets, we have Japanese, You have the United Kingdom, and the German ones, probably the black ones. You got some German ones as well. Militäroperation, Diplomatie, Logistik. Some Russian that I don't know, but then English is tactics. That's very interesting that they employed language in this, just to make it some cool theme there. So that's interesting. But each of these cards has 3 functions. You can use it for the kind of the ops value, or you can use it for technology, or you can do the event down here, I believe. I don't know exactly all the iconography, but each card has 3 options for it. And then I'm pretty sure mixed into this deck, you have the option, thinking about this is probably an expansion for these peace cards to put those in. And I think for each one of those you're given, you might get VPs at the end of the game, so I think that's just a way to add some extra nuance to the game. But that's it, single deck of cards, nice cute board, cool little wooden pieces. It looks like a Euro game, and it plays as short as a Euro game, but it's a war game. So I'm hoping this is a good fun one to play. We're going to crack this out real soon. So this is Mini World War II from Formosa Force Games. Getting your hands on this one might be hard at the moment just because it's so new. I think the only place I could find that had it in stock was it was a French website online that had it. But I think this is going to start making its way into the market, hopefully, here, where we can all get our hands on this one. So appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com, and this has been Mini World War II.